Greetings, Peanutians, and along with the Maple Anniversary events comes with some changes to the Princess Snow and his respective quest line. I won't be going into too much detail per se, but I will be covering some important or noteworthy parts, and then go over changes to each phases of the boss run itself. Also, take note that some of the changes or tricks I know may not work after who knows how many days or weeks after this video is released, as there are so many bugs with Maple story right now during the Maple Anniversary patch's release. And speaking of bugs or issues in general due to this revamp, some of the noteworthy ones are currently: if you're attempting to do the Princess Snow boss on a character that has not done the pre-quest, simply click on the light bulb to the left of your screen and accept the Will of the 5 Planets quest to be able to go in via the boss UI. And secondly, there is also currently an issue that the real and practice mode bosses are not able to be done if there is someone currently inside in that channel, so just cycle through some channels in order to find one that's empty. And lastly, and this better be a bug Nexon, the prompt for entering the real boss is no longer the first option. Nexon, change that back. And as for some general information, the questline has been simplified, which I hope that means they shortened it. I can't really test it because most of my mules have it done already. And all of the questlines have been organized under a single tab in the quest log, making it easier to track if you stop midway or lose track of what the quests are on. I won't be trying to pronounce that word because I have no idea how to pronounce that. And lastly, the 5-second potion cooldown mechanic has been added to the boss run. And as for some general notes for the boss run itself, portals now kick you out of the run itself, so you can no longer return to previous maps anymore. So, if you care about the familiars, be sure to slow down to see if there are any on the floor. And proper cooldowns have been added to each of the boss's attack patterns, so they no longer just spam their attacks endlessly. And lastly, bosses now hit with % HP type attacks now, as they were previously calculated like normal mob attack damage. And at last, the fat pink whale, whose name I will not attempt to pronounce because I suck at words, has finally gotten the quality of life change that we all wanted for so long. The whale will now only teleport you if you're hit by the boss's attack. Not only that, but it also had its HP reduced. The new method to breeze to part 1 is to simply bind the boss and attack, but be sure not to use your burst skills as that is not worth it because you'll be needing them in the next phase. For part 2, the 5 different color samurais have been changed. You will now only do 10 damage per line to the samurai of your class type and 500 damage per line to the samurais that are not your class type. And as I mentioned for part 1, you should have saved your burst for part 2 as dealing a lot of lines fast will help you get out of this phase quicker because each of the samurais have 20,000 HP and you only do 10 damage per line, which means you need to do a total of 2,000 lines of damage to each of the 8 samurais to kill them, and that takes way too long. And the only other trick I would recommend besides saving your burst for your specific class type samurais would be to use summons such as the one your class has, or, you know, your soul weapon summon. And as for part 3, this part has also gotten a bit easier, in the normal sense of course, compared to its initial design. This is technically a nerf to those who did not know about the strategy where all you had to do was, while in solo mode of course, was to stand still and just wait for the boss to summon after you have killed all the samurais in the map. That method is no longer a thing. Kind of. The changes to the phase are that the eels now have less HP, and as do those weird blue orb demon face things, including the fact that they also stand still now. And you'd think with all the changes, they would have also made it so that this phase summons the boss once all eels are killed, but no, we don't. Next time, please add that please. And honestly, if you don't really care, and or are on a character that is not weak, you can still ignore the eels and let the orbs die, as the intended design was that the boss in part 3 just gets stronger based on how many orbs are killed by the eels. And after the change, you no longer get kicked out of the run if they die like before, they just make the boss stronger. Though I am not 100% certain on this part, but I want to say it's a bug as before the changes the run would just kick you out. Who knows, maybe that was a bug before the change. You can never really tell anymore at this point. And as for part 4, nothing. This phase is pretty much the same. Just remember to take note that the bosses in Princess Snow do % HP base damage now, and that if you get caught in this cage, you can no longer bypass it by clicking on the portal to get out of it anymore, as the portal just kicks you out of the run now. And for the last part, part 5, the only really important things to note for the Princess Snow fight itself is that in part 5, is that you have to manually summon her by clicking on her in the middle of the map. And once again, noting that the portal trick to escape the cage skill does not work anymore. And there are some changes to our attacks and their effects, but I'll simply show a list on screen as most are simple and don't really require much elaboration, so feel free to pause this part of the video or refer to the link into the patch notes in the description for the static list. Hey everyone, Peanut here again. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it helpful. And as I noted earlier in the video, please take note that some of the bugs might be getting fixed soon, or some tricks may not work due to some changes that they might do, as the patch for this update has been a little bit buggy. If there are any significant changes or updates, I will be sure to note them in the comments below or the description, or be sure to keep an eye out for any maintenances that might be fixing anything later in the future. And with that being said, thanks for watching, the continued support. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!